When I asked my daughter-in-law what time my son's funeral would be, she replied as if she were telling me the weather. It already happened. We buried him in a small ceremony for close friends only. No hesitation, no compassion, just finality. Was standing in my kitchen arranging a bouquet of white lilies, the kind Marcus had loved since he was a little boy. I had bought them, thinking I might take them to the hospital, maybe bring a little brightness to his room. The doctors had said he was stable. They had told me there was time. The phone rang. I wiped my hands on a towel and picked up. Tessa's voice came through flat and distant, not the voice of a grieving wife. "I'm calling about the funeral arrangements." The lily stem slipped from my fingers and landed on the linen floor. "Funeral? What funeral?" the doctor said. "When did you last speak to a doctor, Lorraine?" Her tone sharpened as if my questions were inconvenient. "Yesterday morning, Dr. Hayes said the surgery went well, that Marcus was resting. That was 2 days ago. He died last night. Complications from an infection." The kitchen tilted. I gripped the counter so hard my knuckles turned white. "Why didn't you call me? Why didn't someone?" "I tried. You didn't answer." I glanced at my phone on the counter. No missed calls from her. None from the hospital. My phone had been with me all day. "There's nothing from you," I whispered. "Well, maybe it was off." "It doesn't matter now," she said, her voice rustling with the sound of movement in the background. "The service is Thursday at 2. "Thursday? That's so soon. Don't we need more time to plan to tell people?" "It's already planned. Small, immediate. Family. Pastor Neil will officiate at my church, not our church, not the church where Marcus was baptized, where he sang in the children's choir. Her church, a place where I had never been welcome." "Tessa, please, I need to be part of this. He was my son." Her voice cooled even more. "Honestly, it might be better if you didn't come." I stood there with the phone pressed to my ear, not sure if I had heard her correctly. "Better if I didn't come?" I repeated. "You heard me," Tessa said. "It would be too emotional, too complicated. Marcus wouldn't have wanted a scene." A scene, as if a mother grieving her only child was some kind of disruption. "Tessa, he was my son. He was my husband." And she shot back. "And frankly, Lorraine, where have you been the last 5 years? You barely called, barely visited. Don't pretend you were close now." The words stung because there was just enough truth in them to hurt. But every attempt I had made to visit had been met with some reason why it wouldn't work. Always from her. Still, I could barely find my voice. I tried, I whispered, "Exactly. You tried. That's not the same as being there." Then, without another word, she hung up. I stared at the silent phone in my hand. My mind was spinning. I checked my call log again. Nothing from her, nothing from any hospital. My phone had been next to me all day yesterday. I would have answered. I would have run to him. Grabbing my keys, I sat at the kitchen table and opened my laptop. I called the hospital where I thought Marcus had been treated. "I'm calling about my son, Marcus Whitfield," I told the receptionist. "I'm sorry, ma'am," she said after a pause. "We have no record of a patient by that name in the last 6 months." "That can't be right," I insisted. "He had surgery 2 days ago. Dr. Hayes was his surgeon." "We don't have a Dr. Hayes on staff, ma'am. Are you sure you have the right hospital?" My stomach turned cold. What hospital had he been in? Why had I assumed it was this one? I replayed our last conversations, realizing I might have filled in details he never actually gave me. I tried the funeral home next. "Peterson." "Funeral home." A woman answered. "I'm calling about the service for Marcus Whitfield on Thursday," I said. "Oh yes, Mrs. Whitfield. Everything is arranged as you requested." "I'm not Mrs. Whitfield," I said slowly. "I'm Marcus's mother." There was a pause. "Oh, your daughter-in-law said the guest list was final, that you preferred to grieve privately." My chest tightened. "Is the service still Thursday at 2? Actually, she moved it to tomorrow morning at 10 Fu. Tomorrow, less than 12 hours away, she hadn't even told me." I set the phone down slowly, my mind blank, except for one thought. Tessa wanted me nowhere near my son's farewell. And the truth was, this had been building for years. I went into the spare bedroom, the one that had once been Marcus's. The shelves still held his baseball trophies. His college diploma still hung crooked on the wall where he had left it before moving out. I sat on the bed and let the memories come. It started at the wedding. 3 days before the ceremony, Marcus had called, his voice hesitant. "Mom, about the seating arrangements. Tessa thinks it would be better if he sat in the second row instead of the front." I had laughed nervously, but I'm the mother of the groom. "I know. It's just her grandmother needs the front for her wheelchair, and her family is bigger. It'll mean a lot to her." I agreed, not wanting to cause trouble before they were even married, but it stung. That was the first small step backward. After that, there were the canceled visits. The first year, I marked each one in my calendar. March 15th, dinner with Marcus, canceled. Tessa has the flu. April 22nd, Easter at my house, moved to her parents instead. June 3rd, Marcus's birthday. We'll celebrate next week. We never did. August 17th, weekend visit, her sister's in town, maybe next month. Always polite, always a reason that sounded reasonable. I pulled out my phone and scrolled back through our old text messages. 3 years ago, love you, Mom. I can't wait to see you Sunday. 2 years ago, hey Mom, something came up. Can we reschedule? Last year, I'll call you later this week. Each one shorter, colder, less him. Then there was the year I drove 3 hours on his birthday with his favorite chocolate cake. Tessa opened the door, surprised, then quickly composed. Herself. "Oh, Lorraine, how thoughtful. But we're just heading out for dinner with my family. There's no room at the table. It's small." I remember clutching that cake, hoping Marcus would insist I come along. He walked into the hall, jacket in hand. "Mom, you didn't need to drive all this way. We could have celebrated this weekend. We didn't." Weeks later, I found out the cake had gone stale in their refrigerator. Now sitting on his bed, I could finally see the pattern. It hadn't been bad luck or conflicting schedules. It had been careful, deliberate separation, and I had let it happen. Afraid of being the overbearing mother-in-law, afraid that speaking up would push him further away. But he was already gone. A week passed after the funeral I never attended. 7 days of unanswered questions, sleepless nights, and meals left untouched. I called every cemetery in the county, trying to find where Marcus had been buried. Each no record felt like another door closing. On the 8th morning, my phone rang. The screen lit up with Tessa's name. My pulse quickened. I hesitated before answering. "What the hell are you doing to my life?" Her voice was sharp, almost frantic. I blinked. "Tessa, what are you talking about? Don't play innocent. The lawyers, the questions, the investigation, stop it." I sat up straighter. "What lawyers? I haven't contacted anyone. I've been trying to find out where my son is buried because you wouldn't tell me." Silence for a beat, then in a lower voice, "Riverside Cemetery. Section C, Plot 247. I grabbed a pen, writing it down with shaking hands. "Thank you." "I don't thank me yet," she said quickly. "Look, we need to talk in person. There are things about Marcus you don't understand." "What things?" "Not over the phone. Can you come over today?" I glanced at the address I'd just written. After 8 days, I could finally see my son's resting place. "I'll come after I visit the cemetery." "No." The word was immediate, almost panicked. "Before, please, Lorraine, it's important." Her voice carried something I had never heard from her before. Fear and maybe desperation. I agreed. "I'll be there in an hour." The drive to their house was familiar, but it felt different now. When Tessa opened the door, she looked nothing like the polished woman I'd known. Her hair was pulled back in a loose knot. Her clothes wrinkled, her eyes red-rimmed. "Come in," she said, stepping aside. "Coffee?" I followed her into the kitchen, a room I'd never been invited into before. Papers were scattered across the counter. Legal documents. My eyes caught the word will on more than one. "Tessa," I said, my voice low. "What's going on?" She set 2 mugs on the table. Her hands trembled. "Marcus changed his will 3 months ago. And it wasn't just the will. He hired a private investigator." I froze. "Why?" Her gaze met mine, unsteady, to find out the truth about what happened between you two. For a moment, I just stared at her, unsure if I had heard correctly. "A private investigator to look into me?" "No," Tessa said quickly. "Not into you. Into us. Into why you and Marcus barely spoke anymore." My chest tightened. And what did he find? She looked down at her coffee as if the answer might be hiding there. "Phone records, messages, plans you made together that never happened because I canceled them. Emails you sent that I deleted before Marcus could read them. Texts I sent from his phone when he was at work telling you he was too busy." The words seemed to echo in the room, pressing in from all sides. "You pretended to be him. Only sometimes," she said, as though that lessened it. "I thought I was protecting our marriage. When we first got married, he talked about you constantly. Every decision, big or small, had to be run past you. I felt like I was competing with his mother for his attention. I gripped the edge of the table. So, your solution was to erase me from his life?" Her eyes flashed defensively. "I thought if you had some distance, you'd build your own life, and Marcus would focus on ours. It worked for a while. He stopped mentioning you. We were fine until 3 months ago. I waited. He started asking questions again. Why you never called? Why you never visited? I told him you were happy we were giving you space. He didn't believe me. He said you used to call every week, that you never missed a birthday or an anniversary. He said something wasn't right." Her voice broke, but I didn't speak. I wanted the rest. He hired the investigator, and when the report came back, she gestured to the papers scattered on the counter. It had everything: the canceled visits, the messages, even gifts you sent that I intercepted. I thought about the Christmas packages that had mysteriously gone missing, the birthday card that Marcus never mentioned. He confronted me. Tessa continued. "I denied it at first. Then I told him the truth. He said, 'Love doesn't work that way. You don't have to tear one relationship down to build another.' Her hands were shaking now. He told me he was going to change his will. I didn't think he'd actually do it, but the lawyer called yesterday. He left everything to you. The house, the savings, the life insurance, all of it. I felt like the floor beneath me had shifted. And the investigator's report with the lawyer," she said quietly. "There's also a letter he wrote for you. I haven't read it, but I think he knew everything I did, and I think he was planning to leave me." For a long moment, the only sound was the faint hum of the refrigerator. My son had discovered the truth. He had taken steps to set things right, and yet I'd never have the chance to hear it from his own lips. Finally, I said, "I need to see that lawyer, and I need to read what Marcus left for me." Tessa's voice was barely above a whisper. "Daniel Reyes, Main Street. He's expecting you tomorrow at 10 Ks. Daniel Reyes's office smelled faintly of leather and old paper, the kind of place where serious conversations happen. He greeted me with a quiet handshake, then gestured for me to sit across from his desk. "Miss Whitfield," he began. "Thank you for coming in. Before we get into the details, there's something your son left for you." He opened a desk drawer and slid a sealed envelope toward me. My name, Mom, was written in Marcus's familiar handwriting. My fingers trembled as I picked it up. "I can. Step out if you'd like some privacy," Daniel offered. I nodded, unable to find my voice. When the door clicked shut behind him, I broke the seal and unfolded 4 pages of lined paper. His handwriting was neat, but rushed in places, as though he'd been racing time. "Mom, if you're reading this, it means I didn't make it through the surgery. The doctors weren't optimistic, but I need you to know the truth about what happened between us. I hired a private investigator 6 weeks ago because something didn't feel right. You'd slipped out of my life so gradually that I almost didn't notice until I realized we hadn't had a real conversation in over a year. Every time I tried to call, Tessa said you were busy. Every time I suggested visiting, she had a reason it wouldn't work. She told me you wanted space, that I was too dependent on you. I believed her, but it never felt right. Mom, you raised me, alone after Dad left. You never made me feel like I was too much. So, I started digging. The investigator's report showed that Tessa had been intercepting our messages, canceling our plans, even deleting your emails before I could read them. She was keeping us apart deliberately. When I confronted her, she said she felt like she was competing with you. She apologized, but I can't get back the years she stole from us. I'm leaving everything to you, not because of the money, but because you're my family, my real family. I'm also leaving you the choice of what happens to her. If you want to make sure she's provided for, that's your call. If you want her to face the consequences, that's your call too. I trust your judgment. Please don't carry guilt over this. You did nothing wrong. You loved me the way a mother should, completely, but without trying to own me. Her actions aren't your fault, and they're not mine either. I love you, Mom. I've always loved you. Nothing she did ever changed that. Marcus. Tears blurred the words. I read the letter twice more, holding on to each sentence like a lifeline. It was as if he had reached across the divide of death to pull me back from years of doubt. When Daniel returned, I was still clutching the pages. Your son was very clear, he said gently. Everything, house, savings, life insurance, comes to you. And there's one more thing. He left instructions for a safety deposit box. He wanted you to visit it alone when you're ready. I tucked the letter into my bag, my decision already forming. I would visit the cemetery first. Then I'd open that box. I took 3 days before calling Daniel again. 3 days of reading Marcus's letter over and over, of sitting beside his grave in Section C, Plot 247, with white lilies in my hands. I wanted to be sure that whatever I decided would honor him, not my anger. When I finally called, I asked Daniel to arrange a meeting with Tessa present. She arrived at the office looking smaller somehow, like the weight of the past weeks had carved away her edges. Her hair was unkempt, her clothes wrinkled, and she gripped a tissue in one hand. When she saw me, her eyes welled up, but I kept my tone steady. Sit down, Tessa, I said. Daniel cleared his throat. Mrs. Whitfield has made her decision regarding the estate. I took a breath. You'll keep the house free and clear, but the savings account and life insurance, those will go into a foundation in Marcus's name. It will help children maintain relationships with their grandparents after divorce or family conflict. Her eyes widened. Why would you? Because Marcus wouldn't have wanted you homeless, but he also wouldn't have wanted you to profit from what you did. Tessa lowered her gaze. I don't deserve even that. No, you don't, I said quietly. But this isn't about you deserving it. It's about me doing what Marcus would have wanted. I leaned forward. There are conditions. You will sign a statement acknowledging exactly what you did. How you intercepted calls, deleted messages, and lied to both of us. It stays private unless you ever try to contact me again or spread lies about our family. She nodded slowly. And you'll attend counseling. Real counseling. Not a few sessions to tick a box. You need to understand why you did this so you never do it again. Her voice cracked. I understand. Daniel slid the papers across the table. As she signed, I felt something inside me loosen, and not forgiveness. Not yet, but the knowledge that I'd chosen justice, tempered with the compassion Marcus had shown in his letter. When she finished, she whispered, "Thank you for not destroying me." I met her eyes. Thank Marcus. This was his mercy, not mine. 6 months later, an unexpected package arrived in the mail. Inside was a framed photograph of Marcus the Fur had never seen before. He was standing in what looked like a garden, sunlight on his face, laughing at something just out of frame. On the back was a handwritten note from Tessa. I found this in his desk drawer. He kept it next to his computer at work. I thought you should have it. Thank you for showing me what real love looks like. I'm learning. I placed the photo on the mantel beside the others. The foundation we created in Marcus's name was already helping dozens of families reconnect after being driven apart. Every quarterly report felt like another thread stitching something back together, turning his absence into a force for healing. But the real peace came on quiet Sunday mornings when I worked in my garden with my mother's old ring on my finger and Marcus's words in my heart. I no longer thought about the years we lost. I thought about the love that survived everything done to tear it apart. Some bonds, I realized, are stronger than lies. Some love is greater than loss. And sometimes the greatest gift a child can leave a parent is proof that their bond was never truly broken. I still miss him every single day. I always will. But now I can remember him as he wanted to be remembered, as my son, my pride, my joy, and my greatest teacher about the kind of love that endures. If you've ever been through something similar, I hope you know this. You are not alone. And the truth has a way of finding its way to the surface, no matter how long it's been buried. If this story touched you, share it. Leave a comment. Tell me where you're watching from. Let's keep these conversations alive, because love, when protected and nurtured, can survive anything.